just still getting set up. Hi, good morning. I felt like I had like 1 minute and all of a sudden I'm like, I gotta get my microphone going. So good morning. Still kind of like setting up the room here. You can see my door there. Getting it all ready to go. How are we feeling today? Today I'm doing like a double kind of back to back. So this one will be, you know, close to like 50 minutes or so. And then there'll be another 30-minute right after. Prop wise, you know, we're using a stability ball. If you don't have a ball, you can grab a pillow, you can grab a towel. Like I use, you know, if you need some extra support for your knees, you can use this for your knee, but you can also fold it up even smaller, you know, use it as like another little prop here. It does a great, you know, add some great resistance there, some great tension that will, you know, resistance most of the time. This one will be saved. So everything that's on mine, I will be saving for 24 hours. So as long as I'm catching it within those 60 minutes, you know, like that one time, these will all be saved. The next one, I'm not sure how that's going to be saved, but this one will be. And all the things. Anybody have any like quick last minute kind of need to homeschool right now? I know the homeschooling stuff. I'm in it. It's very challenging. So I think let's just start to move. We'll kind of get it flowing. Hope everybody's feeling good today. That's it. Let's get rolling. I think we should just start. Keep your towel handy if you need any extra support for your knees or your tailbone. Anything that needs like a little extra cushion if your mat's not thick enough. We're gonna start standing with the ball between your thighs. So it's gonna be like slightly above your knees here. Give it a squeeze and make sure your heels are directly underneath your hips. You're gonna just squeeze from here. Start to lift up in the abdominal wall. Put your weight into your heels and then just start to reach your hands forward and then backwards here. So you're opening up the chest, pulling the abdominals in, just starting to move the arms here. I'm gonna move my towel just because I'm an aesthetic, you know, just in terms of like not being able to, you know, get things in the way, all the way back. You're gonna start to bend your knees, pulling your hips backwards over your heels, pressing yourself all the way up and lifting. So you're shifting backward over towards your heels and lift it in and up. So keeping the abdominals in here. And one thing is a lot of people have been asking kind of about breathing and how we want to breathe here. You want to think of your ribs expanding out to the side. So you're like widening the ribs on the inhale. Exhale, you're pulling your ribs back together. Try not to breathe out of your stomach. But, you know, just make sure that you're breathing. That's like the most important thing. And lift, but we just don't want to pop out in the abdominals. And lift. Let's do one more. You're going to hold this position so your weight is back over your heels. Pull the abdominals in. Just start to do just the arms here. If you can see my toes here, they're like slightly lifted so that I'm not putting too much pressure there. Really pulling in the abdominals, trying to keep your back as flat as possible. Trying not to tuck the pelvis, trying not to arch the spine. Really adding like a nice big movement of the shoulder blades. Two more. And then one more, you're going to hold your arms back. Start to pulse your arms up. So keeping the abdominals in. Just nice little pulses through here. Still squeezing the ball so you're engaging inner thighs, pelvic floor. Tiny, tiny pulses. Keep breathing here. You're going to hold your arms up, start to bend the elbows and then press it back. So you're keeping your elbows in the same position. You're just starting to bend, pressing it back. So remind yourself that we're in, you know, a space that's denser than air. So we're pressing back almost as if you have weights, but you don't. You want to continue kind of that length happening in your body and your arms. You don't want to end the circuit kind of at your hands. You want to think like your arms are kind of going on forever behind you. And that's kind of like that philosophy in terms of not adding some weights here. Let's do one more. And then start to reach your hands forward, reach your hands backwards. So we're staying in the same position. And then back. So reaching it out. And back. Let's do one more. And then back. And now you're going to reach yourself all the way up, lift up out of the waist. Start to do 2 arm circles. We're going to go back into that position again. Arms reach forward, take the arms back, and then we're going to bend backwards again. You're going to hold this position. You're going to start to take your arms out into a T, and then pulling them back in line with your shoulders. You're just opening your chest up, pulling it back in. So keeping your core in. If you're not feeling core here, try shifting backwards a little bit more over to your heels, and then you'll find that like that instability there will connect into your glutes, force you to connect into your core a little bit more. And then down. Do 3 more. So it's almost like you're inhaling like here and exhaling, pulling the ribs together. Like kind of the movement has like a nice flow to it. 1 more. And then start to take your arms backwards, take your hands back in line with your shoulders here. So you can go back and forward. 1 more. And then you're going to reach your hands in a diagonal here. So they're not all the way up, they're kind of down to the floor. You're going to bend your right elbow, you're going to twist over to the right, extend it back out. So the rotation now comes from the belly button up. You're pulling your shoulders back, twisting over to the side and back. So really pulling in the core as you twist back to center. Nice twist here and back. So check in with your body too. Make sure that you're shifting your weight over your heels. You'll feel your quads turn off. You'll feel abdominals connect. You'll work out some of the kinks in your spine that might have happened while you were sleeping. 1 more to the left. And now you're going to press your arms back as you lift up out of the chest. Start to bend backwards again over your heels, reaching your hands out all the way up and back. And let's do 3 more. And back. 2 more. And back. 1 more. And then we're going to hold again, pulling your abdominals in. Start to swing your arms around. Reach it out so you're opening up, starting to really stretch out of the arms. Try to continue the motion here, pulling the core in. If you don't have a prop, make sure that you're still engaging those inner thighs, trying to pull them together without actually touching the knees together. So it's kind of like an internal connection there. 1 more. And then we're going to reverse. Bend it back. Reach it up, bending it back, reach it around. 3 more, 2 more, all the way around, last one. Reach it around, you're gonna lift all the way up, start to reach your hands up to the ceiling. We're gonna slowly roll forward, make your way onto your hands and knees here. Apple on my mat. Squeezing the ball, taking your hands directly underneath your shoulders here. Start to tuck your toes underneath, abdominals stay in. You're going to hover up here and hold, and then drop it down. So we're going to continue this motion here. Allow yourself to try to find the length in your neck. Remember, we're trying to pull the shoulders away from the ears. When I say pull them back, down and back, they're kind of away, as far away from your ears as possible. Your elbows are facing forward and soft. And you're thinking of leading this movement from your core. So you're pulling in and up. Drop it down. 1 more. Lifting in and up. Dropping it down. Unfold the toes here. You're going to start to reach your right hand out in front of you. And then drop it down. Let's take the left hand out in front of you. And then drop it down. So if you can notice, I'm not lifting it all the way up so my shoulder wants to lift. I'm trying to lengthen through the core, reach out through the arm, drop it down. So your weight is still over your knees. You're trying not to shift backwards. We're keeping the core in, reaching that left arm out. And then right arm reaches out. You're going to slide it all the way around. So you're going to go parallel to the floor, pulling it in towards your hip, then reaching it all the way out in front of your head. So you're doing a nice little circle around, reaching it out. So it's a lot of work to keep your body in the center here, adding your, my voice is cracking, all the way around. 2 more. So really finding length in those fingertips, reaching out. 1 more. And then all the way around. You're going to drop that hand down. Start to extend your left hand all the way out. You can do the same thing. So you're squeezing your pinky into your side, reaching it all the way out. Really connecting into your obliques here. And then around. Good. Keeping the core in, squeezing the pinkies. Check in with your body to make sure that you're not starting to arch your spine. You're really keeping the spine neutral. Trying not to grip into your shoulders. And one more. All the way around. Drop that hand down. Rolling your shoulders back. You're going to start to tuck your toes underneath again. We're going to pull the abdominals in, hover up and hold. And then drop it down. So you're going to pull the abdominals in, hover up and hold. And then drop it down. And let's do a couple more here. Hover up and hold. Drop it down. One more. Hovering up and holding. And then drop it down. Unfold your toes. We're going to start to lift up here. So you're lifting up on top of your knees. Give the ball a slight squeeze and lift up through your pelvic floor. Your arms are going to reach back. Start to hinge over your heels, reaching the hands out. And then lifting it up here. So if you start to feel your quads working here, what ends up happening is you're probably sitting back like this and then lifting up. Make sure your upper body is reaching out in this direction, lower body is reaching out behind you, and then lifting it up. So you're pulling your core and you're like stretching it out in two different directions, lifting up. Let's do 3 more. And lift. How are you feeling? Starting to warm up. And lift, really connecting into the core first. Like that's like the main thing. You're like pulling this in. And then we're going to hold this position here. Take your arms all the way back, turning your palms facing inwards towards each other. Start to do tiny pulses up with your arms. Make sure that you're still squeezing the ball. You're getting that inner thigh connection. Keep pulsing up. Good. And when I say pelvic floor, it's kind of like if you think of like the whole region, if you're wearing like a big diaper, like an adult diaper, it's like that. All those muscles that would like touch there are all kind of connecting below, inwards, on top. Hold your hands up, start to bend your elbows and then press it back. Bend it in, press it back. So keeping the core in, shifting your upper body slightly forward but pulling your hips backwards. Let's do 3 more. 2 more. 1 more. Press your arms all the way back. We're going to lift up in the chest. Drop your left arm down to your side. You're going to reach kind of out in a diagonal. Go up and over here. And then use your abdominals to come back to center. Let's go up and over the opposite side. So you're grounding your left knee as you go over to the right. Use your abdominals to lift right back up. Up and over. And lift. So you're trying to keep your weight over your knees, but your upper body is feeling like you're diving over to the side. Lift it up. Up and over. So make sure that your abdominals are controlling this move. 1 more. Up and over. And then lift. Turn your palms up to the ceiling. Lift your hands all the way up. Your palms go down. Dropping down to your side. Palms go up, lift. Pulling in the core. Dropping it down. Make sure that your waist is over your knees. So it almost feels like you'll fall forward if you don't control the abdominals here. 1 more. And drop it down. And now rounding forward, reaching your hands towards the floor. Start to tuck your toes underneath. And we're going to press it all the way out into a plank. So shoulders are back, elbows are forward. Lifting up in the chest, make sure that your hips aren't dipped down. Hips are staying nice and high. In one straight line, start to bend your knees, pressing through your arms, squeezing the inner thighs, opening up the chest. Bending it back, pressing it through, and continuously doing this motion out towards the top of your head. Bending it back, squeezing that prop. Bend it back, and open up the chest. Think lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. 3 more. All the way out. 2 more. And all the way out. 1 more. You're going to hold your plank here. Shoulders are back. You're going to slowly start to drop your knees down. And then you're going to hold this kind of modified position here. Start to lift your feet up and squeeze your feet together. Bending your elbows down, your chest goes down to the floor. Pushing it up here. So you're leading with your core dips down, you're pushing up through the triceps. Same thing here, check in with your elbows, make sure that they're facing forward. And lift. Abdominals stay in here. So it's almost like very light on your knees. It's more about upper body, bending it down, and lift. 2 more, and lift, and 1 more, and lift. Let's sit all the way back into a child's pose, stretching out through your arms. You're going to start to tuck your toes underneath. We're going to go out into a plank again. You're going to rotate your toes slightly over to the left. So if you can see, my hips are rotating so that my toes rotate because my hips are rotating. You're going to bend the knees over to the left, pressing through the arms, and then start to squeeze the inner thighs, pelvic floor, open up the chest here. So you're bending it over to the side, pressing it out. Okay, bending it here. So your lower half is twisted, but if you can notice, my upper half is still trying to stay parallel to the floor. 2 more. All the way out. 1 more. All the way out here and hold. You're going to start to bend your knees down. And then you're going to pull your feet together and rotate your lower body slightly more over to the left. Turn your fingers facing into a triangle position. And then bend your elbows out to the side. Push through your palms as you lift. So we're going here and lift. Bend it down. So my chest is parallel to the floor. Elbows are out to the side, but shoulders are still back away from the ears. You're still squeezing the ball. You can feel that whole right side kind of connecting here. And lift. Let's do 1 more. Lift. Turn your fingers facing forward. Just sit back so you're kind of still rotated over to the left. You're reaching out through your arms. And then let's lift up through here. You're going to take your right hand into the center. Open up out to the side here. Okay, so find this nice position. You're lifting up off the shoulders, taking your elbow facing kind of like towards your fingertips. Staying lifted up through here, pulling the abdominals in. You're going to lift your hips up. Take that left hand up and over your head. Dip it down, just tapping the hip. Lift it up and over. So you're not dipping your hips past kind of that parallel position. We're going here and holding. Lift it in and up. And then drop it down. Stay lifted up out of the arm, pulling the core in and down. Let's do 1 more here. Lifting it up and down. You're going to take this left hand up to the ceiling. We're just going to rotate down, but you're going to keep a straight arm. So you're going to rotate here, open up. See, it's going to be about your abdominals rotating. You're pulling and testing your balance. Open it up. Let's do 3 more. Ooh. Squeezing that ball. 2 more. Stay lifted up off that arm. If at any point your shoulder just gets too aggravated, you can drop down to your elbow. And up, we're going to hold this position. Tiny bends at the right, pushing it up. So shoulders back, keeping the abdominals in. Lift. 3 more. So make sure you're still lifting in and up here. 2 more. And 1 more. Whew. Twist down to the floor. Take your child's pose. Reach your hands out in front of you. Reach out through that right arm. You're going to take your left hand underneath. Get a nice twist over to the right. And I'm going to flip around here. So this is the position we're in. Reach both arms out in front of you. Start to tuck your toes underneath, and we're going out into a full plank here. Now your hips are going to rotate to the right so that your toes rotate too, squeezing the ball. Start to bend your knees over to the right. You're pushing out through your arms, pulling the abdominals, squeezing the ball, and lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. And then bend it back. So the left side of your body is trying to lengthen and connect here. Bend it back. So you're thinking, open it up, elbows are forward, shoulders are back, squeezing the ball. 2 more. All the way out. 1 more. All the way out. You're going to hold. Start to bend your knees. Take your feet together. You're going to rotate your hips just like a little bit more here. Turn your fingers facing inwards into that diamond shape. Shoulders are back. You're going to start to bend your elbows out to the side, pushing up with the chest. So you're evening out on both hands, lifting up through here. Squeezing the ball, Making sure your right hip is kind of twisted over to the right. And lift. 3 more. Lift. 2 more. And lift. 1 more. Lift. Turn your fingers facing forward. Sit back and reach out of those arms for a second. And then let's lift up. Take your left hand into the center. We're opening up here. Keeping that ball squeeze. Make sure you're lengthening out of that right side. Extend this arm up. You're going to lift your hips up as you take that right arm up and over your head. And then just hold your side plank. Take that arm all the way down. Lifting it up, pulling the core in. And dip it down. How are we doing? Lift it up. We're going to get up off your shoulders after this. Drop it down. Make sure your feet are together, squeezing the ball more so from your inner thighs, less from your knees. 1 more. And down. Take that right arm up to the ceiling. Stretch through that left arm. You're going to rotate down to the floor, so you're going to twist here. And lift. Think the twist comes less from your shoulder. It comes from your abdominals. Twisting, twisting, twisting. So I can go right to about here before my shoulders want to take over and my abdominals do less work. So I'm going twisting, keeping right about here. And up. Good. 2 more. And lift. Try to relax your jaw. 1 more. And lift. Let's stretch through both arms, holding in through here. Start to bend that left elbow, lifting up. So think it's core, elbow goes back, lifting it up. 3 more. And lift. Whew. 2 more. Keeping the abdominals in. 1 more. And then rotate down to the floor. Sit yourself back into a child's pose. Extend your left arm out. Take your right hand and twist over to the left. And then we're going to flip over. Take the ball between your ankles. You're going to take your heels slightly together. Knees are slightly rotated out, and you're going to squeeze the ball kind of from this wrap of your hip here. Start to lift up out of the chest. We're going to scoop and roll all the way down. If you're pregnant or have diastasis, don't do this full roll down. Just start to practice holding your body in a straight line, kind of with like a slight hinge, like a flat back. Or you can just start to connect in this position. Scoop and roll all the way down, rolling through the spine, taking your hands up over your head. Pull the chin in. Let's slowly start to lift up. If you're doing these roll downs, allow yourself to kind of connect through every little vertebrae. Roll it all the way down. Release some of that tension in your shoulders. Lift it right back up. I did a post yesterday of like folding over a chair. And sometimes when you haven't been working those rhomboids between your shoulder blades, if you haven't tapped into that muscle, they'll start to feel a little bit tight. And what that does is it'll release some of that buildup of the acid from kind of working those muscles. But it's okay to feel muscles back there. And then lift all the way up. And now you're going to scoop and roll back slightly. So you're going to pull the abdominals in here, but open up the chest. Take your left arm out to the side. Start to pull it back into the center. You're going to take your right arm out. So we're not going to rotate the body just yet. We're going to find kind of your connection in your core and your inner thighs, holding this position before we start to add any sort of rotation. What's nice about keeping the knees slightly open here rather than parallel is it gives your hip flexors a little bit of a break. Everyday life, we are always in parallel. There's very rarely a moment where you're turning it out, without, thinking about it. 1 more. And then right. All the way back to center. Let's scoop and roll all the way down, peeling through the spine, taking your hands up over your head. Let's pull the chin in here, slowly start to lift all the way back up. Also make sure that you're giving yourself enough space between your heels and your hips here. You're going to take your left hand out. We are going to rotate over to the left. Use your abdominals to come back to center. Let's rotate over to the right. Back to center. So you're twisting from the belly button up. You're going rotate, rotate, rotate. And it's not just your arm. It's your abdominals rotating along your spine. Back to center. Let's go twist, twist, twist. Keeping the inner thighs engaged. Twist. Back to center. 1 more each side. and right. And back here, scoop and roll down one vertebrae at a time. Taking your hands up over your head, stretching out of your fingertips. Let's lift up again. Pulling in the abdominals. If you're not doing the roll-ups and down, you can give yourself a break by kind of rounding here. So if you need that release, lifting up. You're going to take your left arm, you're going to go up and over. You're going to tap it down, lift it back up and forward. Let's go up and over to the right. You're going to twist, tap, up and forward. If your twist doesn't look like this, that's absolutely okay. It depends on kind of the mobility of your spine. If you feel comfortable just going here and then back, it's no big deal. Okay, so just find your own rotation along the spine where you're feeling like your body can hang on from the core today. Up and over to the right. And then back. Anybody else's inner thighs burning? Up and over. Tap. And back. And tap. And back. And now let's scoop and roll all the way down, rolling through the spine. And then pull the abdominals in, lifting all the way back up. And now scoop and roll halfway down here again, pulling the core in, start to do very tiny circles, keeping the abdominals in. What's nice about this too is it adds some movement in the shoulders, kind of in a circular position in the joint because we did all that stability work, so now it's like giving it a chance to kind of release all that work. Keep the abdominals in. Let's do 3 more. 2 and 1, reaching the hands forward. Let's scoop and roll all the way down, taking your hands up over your head. Pull the chin in. Let's slowly start to lift back up again. Last little bit here, scoop and roll down through here, keeping the chest open. Let's reverse the circle other way. Woo. Keep going here. Definitely burning. And I have like a long, good. Let's do 2 more. Back to center here, dropping the shoulders, scoop and roll all the way down, peeling through the spine, taking your hands up over your head. And let's lift all the way back up, peeling through here. Awesome. Take a butterfly stretch just for a second. Release your hip flexors. And then we're going to lay all the way down. You're going to take your prop underneath your left foot. So this is going to create some instability on that side. I want you to think of lengthening your abdominals, keeping them in neutral. Let's take your arms out to the side and press them down to the floor. You're going to take your right knee into tabletop. I want you to extend that leg up to the ceiling and then externally rotate. I want you to think energy out of the toes, so try not to hard point the toes. Think lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. You're going to do a circle over to the right. You're going to drop it down and lift. So we're going to circle around, drop, and lift. And then neutral pelvis here, I'm just going to go over quickly neutral pelvis because some of you might be new and unfamiliar with that. You're keeping your spine long so that your ribs are touching the floor. Then your tailbone's pressing down and you're adding like a tiny little air space in your low back, so it's not an arch, it's not a tuck. It's that sweet spot right in between. Now you're going to hold it up through here. You're going to do your arms in the same way your leg is, so you're going to open it up. And now you're going to curl up here, looking towards your abdominals, and then lay it down. So let's actually take it all the way up. So let's circle them around. You're going to lift up through the core, reaching out of the foot, lower it down. So circle, trying to keep it an externally rotated leg here. And all the way up. 2 more. Trying to keep a neutral pelvis here. And up. 1 more. Circle, lift, 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 and up. This last one, we're going to stay all the way lifted. You're going to lift up through here. You're going to start to bend the knee in as you reach your leg out. You're going to take your hands up over your head. Bend the knee in here. Reach it out. If you're having any sort of like neck aggravation here, you can take your hands behind your head and you can just go here. Good. Reach it out. Pull the knee in. And let's do 3 more. 2 more. Reach it out, stretching out of your spine, trying to keep a neutral pelvis here. 1 more. Reaching it up. And then take your arms out, back out into a T. Take your leg up here. You're going to externally rotate again. We're going to do the reverse circle. So you're going to drop it down, circle it around, and lift. So you're going to drop it down, circle it around, and lift. keeping the ribs tight, but trying not to collapse into the low abdominals here. We're trying to really keep this nice and long. Good, 2 more. And lift. And 1 more. And now we're going to take your hands up over your head. We're going to curl up as your leg elongates through here. Circle the leg around as your arms come back up. Think lift. Circle it around. And lift. Circle it around. Woo. Lift up through here, keeping the abdominals in. Circle the leg around. 1 more. Circle it around. Now we're going to lift up here and hold. You're going to bend the knee in as you take your hands up over your head. Press it all the way out. Stretch out of your leg. Bend it into here. Same thing, you can take your hands behind your head if you need to. You can notice that my knee doesn't come all the way in so that my hips stay neutral. My arms aren't going all the way over your head. And 1 more. Woo. Okay. Drop that foot down, drop your head down. Take your arms out into a T and press your arms down to the floor. We're going to start to tuck and lift up into a bridge. You're putting your weight into your right heel, lifting all the way up here, stretching through that right hip flexor. Scoop and roll down 1 vertebrae at a time. I'm going to walk my heels in a little bit closer into my body here, so make sure that you're kind of tight. Open it up slowly, start to articulate all the way up. Lifting the hips up, stretching out of your arms, and then scoop and roll all the way down, peeling through the spine. And let's lift up again. I'm a little wobbly here. Try to align your spine directly in the center. You're trying to lift up, and then scoop and roll all the way down, pulling through the abdominals. And then 1 more. Let's lift it all the way up, keeping your abdominals in. Do tiny dips and lift. Your weight is in your right heel. Tiny lifts. You're reaching out through your arms. And lift. And lift. Nice. And lift. Let's do 3 more. Lift. 2 more. And lift. And 1 more. Lift all the way up here and hold, and then scoop and roll all the way down. And you're going to slide the ball over to your right leg. Find this position again, dropping the shoulders, elongating out of the spine here, keeping the ribs in, reaching the hands out. Sure that your foot's kind of right in the center. Extend that left leg up. You're going to externally rotate. You're going to start by opening up the leg out to the side, drop it down, and lift. So a nice circle here. So if your leg starts to drop down too low and you're feeling like you're arching your spine, or when it lifts up you're starting to curl your spine up, make your circle a little bit smaller. It doesn't have to be big. It's mostly about stabilizing your hips here, controlling the movement with your core. And 1 more. Good. You're going to reach your hands up through here. You're going to circle it around. Let's lift up here. Take the arm up as you take your hands up over here. Sorry, take the legs up as you circle. So many pieces here. And then drop it down. Think your lift comes from the core. So you're lifting up. Think lift, lift, lift. Drop it down. Try to watch what the right knee is doing. Try not to allow it to kind of splay out to the side. Let's do 1 more. Lift. And then down. On this next one, we're going to lift up here and hold. You're going to take your hands up over your head. You're going to draw the knee in here. Stretch it out, reaching your hands up, drawing the knee in. Checking with your neck here. Any neck problems, you absolutely can go here. Place your head into your arms. Try to focus on that neutral spine. Reach it out. Let's do 2 more. 1 more. And then take your arms back out to the side. Extend that left leg up, externally rotate again. We're going to reverse. You're going to go down, up and around, circle. So it's inner thigh, it's abdominals here. It's stability on the right side to keep that hip down. And 2 more. How are we feeling here? And lift. 1 more. And lift. So you're going to go here, we're going to curl up, stretch out through here, circle the arms around as you lift them back up, curl it up, so pulling in the abdominals, circle the arms around, Try not to lead with your head. Try to let your head be kind of the last piece to lower down here, which I was not doing. 2 more. Lift and down. 1 more. Lift and all the way around. And now we're going to lift up here and hold, stretching through your abdominals. Start to bend the knee in. You're going to stay in parallel on this one if I didn't mention it before. Stretch it out. Bend it in. Stretch it out. Actually, we did the opposite, right? There we go. So stretch it out through here. Bend the knee in. Stretch it out. So as the knee comes in and your arms come up over your head, elongate more through your lower abdominals. Stretch it out. So you're trying not to add a tuck to pull everything in. You're stretching out through there. All the way out. 2 more. Stretch it out. 1 more. And then drop that foot down. Take your arms back out to the side. Make sure that your heels are close into your body. Stretch out through the arms, and you're going to slowly start to tuck and lift all the way up. Taking your hips up high. Your weight is in your left heel here. Scoop and roll all the way down. Rolling through the spine. Let's lift up again. Start to lift all the way up. Stretching through the upper body. Drop it down. Rolling through your spine. If you put enough pressure onto your shoulders, you can feel kind of some like pops happening there. Lift it all the way up. Scoop and roll all the way down. And 1 more. Let's lift all the way up, peeling through the spine, keeping your hips nice and high. You're going to do a tiny dip down. Put your weight into that left heel and left down. Think lift, keeping the abdominals in, stretching through the arms. Lift. Whew. Okay, 2 more. And lift. 1 more. Lift all the way up. Scoop and roll down 1 vertebrae at a time. You can take the ball between your ankles here if you can get there. Give yourself some space. Reach your hands up over your head. Start to pull the chin in. Let's slowly start to lift all the way back up. Lifting through your abdominals. Scoop and roll all the way down. So zipping up the inner thighs, rolling through the spine. Arms come back up. Lifting it up. All the way up, working through some of that lactic acid. Nice stretch in your spine, reaching the hands out. 1 more. Lifting it all the way up. And then you're going to take your hands behind you here. Actually, let's take them like kind of like right behind your hips here. Walk your feet in. You're going to hover the hips up very slightly, keeping the abdominals in. You're going to squeeze the ball, squeeze the inner thighs. Tiny dips and lift. Tiny dip and lift. My hips are not touching the ground. My spine is trying to stay long. If you can get into a neutral pelvis here, you'll feel the low abdominals really, really tapping in. So this is a tuck here, okay? You don't want to do that. We don't want to collapse into the abdominals. We want to pull it inward so they stretch out, they elongate, they don't build kind of on top of your body. Bend and lift. 2 more. Lift. 1 more. Lift. Drop it down. Open up the knees. Stretch your arms forward. Take a nice stretch in front of you. And then let's lift up through here. Let's flip around. You're going to take the ball underneath your left knee. You're going to take it actually slightly behind your knee here. So it's not going to be directly on your knee. It's going to be slightly behind. Your hands are going to be underneath your shoulders, and then I want you to extend out through that right leg. So let's kind of find this position here. Tapping your left foot down onto the floor. Shoulders are back. If your arms are just like over it today, you can drop down onto your forearms here and do a little bit more work this way. But if you can get here, lift up through here. Start to hover that right leg up. You're going to start to draw the knee into your chest and then stretch it all the way up. So your elbows are rotated forward. You're going to draw the knee in, stretching it out. You're keeping your hips in neutral here. And out. Let's do 3 more here. So trying to keep your weight in the center of your body. You can put some pressure on the ball so that it kind of takes it out of your quad a little bit. 1 more. Reach it out. And now you're just going to tap the toe down. Start to lift that leg up. Tapping it down, lifting up. Really keeping the core in. If at any point you're just like, I hate this ball, I want it out, it adds a lot more intensity here. You can ditch the ball and lift. 2 more. And lift. Let's do 1 more. Lift, you're gonna tap the foot over to the right. You're gonna lift it up, tap it over to the left. So you're gonna go to the right. The least amount of pressure you put on your arms, the more you take it in your abdominals, the more you press into the ball on the left side, the more abdominals it is. Also, it takes out of your quad. It's not easy. Drop it down. 2 more. And 1 more. And now you're going to take your right leg in front. You can get here as gracefully as possible. You're going to shift your weight slightly forward. You're going to take a stretch for a few. You can stretch out of that left quad. And then what you're going to do is you're going to lift your hips up. We're going to start to hover your fingers here. If you can see, I'm hovering up off the ball. But I'm going to pull my left hip backwards, start to reach your hands forward. Take your arms backwards here. So now the weight is in your right glute. You should be feeling it there. Keeping the abdominals in. Kind of getting a stretch on that left side of your body. Lift. How are we feeling? These are brutal. I'm very light on my ball. I can almost lift up off the ball. And let's hold your arms back. Tiny pulses here. Stretching out through the shoulder blades. Try to open up the chest slightly. So we have 1 more side of these. Let's do 3, 2, 1. Start to reach your hands forward. Let's go in a pigeon stretch on this side. And keep your knee on the ball. Roll it down. Dropping the head down. Take a little stretch here for a second. And then let's flip over right over to the other side. So let's take the ball underneath your right knee. It's like slightly backwards there. Tapping that right toe. This is kind of key here. You'll never really be able to like fully hang on if that toe isn't tapped. Hands are underneath your shoulders. Elongate out through that left leg here. Try not to arch your spine so you're keeping it in and up. Draw that knee in. I told you to go back behind, but I didn't go there. There we go. So draw the knee in. Reach it out. In and out. So if you were on your forearms on the other side, go into your forearms on this side also. And out. Let's do 2 more. Out. 1 more. And out. Start to tap that toe down and lift. I'm going to fix my ball. It's feeling a little wonky on that side. There we go. Drop and lift. So keeping the abdominals in, elbows facing forward, keeping a parallel leg. 2 more. 1 more. You're going to lift up. You're going to tap your leg over to the left. Lift it up. Tap it over to the right. Tap it over. Keep hanging on here. Keep the abdominals in. And tap. Let's do 1 more. And tap. Woo. Come back to center. Take that left leg in front of you. Stretch it out here. Get a nice hip flexor stretch on that right side. It's a lot. It's a lot to try to like lift up off that quad and not take it just into your quad. Make sure you're still pulling up in the abdominals. And you're going to shift your weight backwards here. Pull the abdominals in. You're going to try not to relax your abdominals on your body here. So you're lifting it up. You're pulling this left hip backwards. Reaching your hands forward. And back. Also trying to even out your hips here. If you can feel like your right hip is sinking down, lift it in and up a little bit. All the way forward. And back. You're still tapping into that left glute here. And back. 3 more. And back. 2 more. Back. Let's do 1 more here. Take your arms back, pulling the core in tiny pulses. We're almost done here. Try to flatten out your toes. Keep connected. Keep going here. Let's do 3, 2, 1. Drop it down. I was fully off my ball there. But you can see how light on the ball. Drop it down. Take a stretch. The ball's there as like a little bit of a guide. If you're supporting glute, the one that's forward, starts to feel a little bit too much and you need a little bit of support on the ball. You can use the ball there. Whew. Okay, let's flip over onto your back. Let's lift your hips up and then take the ball directly underneath your tailbone. Try to open up the chest as much as possible, and you're going to try not to collapse in the spine, so make sure you're still lifted as if you're in neutral, reaching the hands around. You can grab onto the ball, so that's kind of how low the ball is, so that you're not like touching your fingertips together, but you're still hanging on. Wiggle your legs around. Reaching the toes up. Let's take toes apart, heels together. You're going to start to open up your legs out to the side. Flex your feet and squeeze it back in. Point and open. Flex and squeeze. Open it up. Get your breath back here. Heart rate's up pretty high. And then open it up here. Flex it in. Let's do one more. Flex it in. Let's reverse. Take your legs out to the side. Point the toes and lift. Flex it out. Point and lift. So you're grounding your tailbone down. You're giving your neck a little break here too. One more. And now you're going to take your legs up. You're going to bend your left knee, but you're going to take your right leg out to the side. So you're going to stretch it out through here. And you're going to lift it in and up. So you're going to have to connect into the obliques to lift those legs up. So it's a lot of core here. You're stretching it out, lifting up through the center. Stretch and lift. Out to the side. Lift it up. Let's do one more over to the left. Lift it up here and hold tiny circles, separating your legs. Squeeze, lift, squeeze. Keeping the shoulders relaxed. Allowing your abdominals to take over. You're externally rotated in your hips. Obviously, it's inner thighs here as well. Let's reverse for 5. How are we feeling? Anybody joining right after this for another 30? Lift all the way up. One more. And then drop the right leg all the way down. Take your left knee into your chest. Stretch out of that hip. Get a nice stretch in that hip flexor. And let's flip over to the other side. Not flip over, switch over. Take your right knee in, stretching out of that left hip. And then we're going to drop your feet down, lift your hips up, slowly roll down through the ball here, and take the ball between your knees. So walk your heels into your glutes, make sure you're squeezing the inner thighs, take your arms out to the side, and inch this way. We're going to take your hands in a goalpost position above your head, slowly start to tuck and lift all the way up. So you're going to lift your hips up high, lengthen out of the top of your neck, give the ball a squeeze, and then swoop and roll down one vertebrae at a time. Tapping the hips down, let's lift up again, peeling through the spine, pressing down into your heels, lifting up, and then scoop and roll down. And let's do one more. You're going to stay all the way up in this next one, so you're tucking, lifting up here and hold. Start to squeeze your elbows above your head, opening your arms out wide, so you're trying to get a little bit of a nerve stretch going. You can work behind your shoulder blades. I feel like that's where the movement starts, is in your lats, your core here. Squeeze and open. Let's do one more. And open your arms all the way up, scoop and roll down one vertebrae at a time. We're going to start to lift back up again, tuck and lift all the way up. Hips stay up high, give the ball a squeeze. You're going to take your hands up over your head, so you're going to squeeze your fingers together above your head. Start to keep your chest open and kind of squeeze your elbows underneath, so you're getting a stretch kind of in your pecs, all through this muscle here. Take your hands all the way up and kind of massaging behind your shoulder blades. Lift it up and down. And let's do 2 more. One more. All the way in here, take your hands down and then all the way up over your head, stretching through your fingertips. Scoop and roll down one vertebrae at a time. Grab onto your knees here. Let's grab on underneath your knees. We're going to start to rock up. We're going to do some rolling like a ball. Lift it up here and hold, keeping the core in, like facing the most awkward angle. Scoop and roll back. Let's lift up here and hold. Scoop and rock. So you're still keeping the abdominals in. You're kind of holding in this position. 2 more. 1 more. And lift all the way up. You can drop your feet down. Ditch the ball off to the side. Slowly lay all the way down. Take your right knee into your chest. Stretch out of your left leg. We're going to cross your right foot past your left side. Pull that whole shape into your body. Get a nice stretch through this right piriformis, pressing it down. Crossing your left hand past your right knee. Let's get a twist over to the left. You can turn and look over to the right. Oh, so good. Let's go over to the other side. Take your left knee in. Cross it over to the right side. Get a nice stretch through here. And then cross your right hand past your left knee. Get a stretch over to your left side. And then you can grab onto your ball if you're pregnant. I don't recommend doing this, but let's lay on top of your prop. You can take your pillow underneath here also. Take it right into your pelvis here. Lay down on top of the ball. Just drape your body on top. Let your head drop all the way down. And then you can start to circle your hips around. So this is really great for digestion. It kind of works, all of those low abdominals that we just tapped into. It works on stretching that, also like massaging kind of your intestines. You can circle the opposite way. And then take your hands underneath your shoulders here. Tuck your toes underneath. We're going to start to kind of like shift forward and back. So the ball goes up onto your stomach. And then it goes back onto your pelvis. You're going to rock forward and back here. All the way back. It's pretty intense. It's like very nauseating. So if it feels like it's too much, you can ditch it and just take a downward dog. Okay, and then let's get off the ball. Ditch it from there. Go into a downward dog. Start to pedal through your feet. Start to walk your feet into your hands. Let your heels go directly underneath your hips. Grab onto your elbows here. Drop the head down. Soften the knees and just start to nod your head. Shake your head now. You can start to kind of swing side to side. And then come back to center. Release your hands down to the floor. Let's slowly start to roll the spine up 1 vertebrae at a time. Keep your knees soft here. Rolling it up. Roll your shoulders back a couple times. You did it. It was amazing. It felt so good. It was pretty intense. That like leg series is why I don't do it for a long time, because we don't want to build a lot of the muscles. So if you're feeling like, it's like some of them are like a shorter series, there are 4 reasons. So you can elongate, really tap into the muscle without getting to that point where it's like gripping and building a muscle on top of what, like the inside pull. Anyway, I'm jumping on in about 8 minutes for another 30 minutes. It'll be completely different than this one. So if you want some more, some extra, it'll be there doing the joint. I love you all. I've been in talks with my ball guy also, like with all the like Amazon stuff going on. So the ball that I recommend has been out for a while. It turns out there's like a huge shipment that's just sitting in Amazon that they haven't clocked in as a shipment that's there. So hopefully that will be taken care of in the next week or so. I have a call with him today, but that is kind of like my #1 recommended ball. And I know that it's been a little bit challenging to get these. So props, pillows, all of that stuff will work in the meantime. Anyway, love you all. Hope to see you soon in the next few minutes. Bye.